Alright you guys, today we're doing a little video about stick welding on these two machines. We got the Omnipro here and the Titanium. I have had a lot of people ask about this. They want to see these things running stick. So in this video today, we're going to be starting off with 120 volts and welding some thinner metals with them, see how they do. Then we're going to be moving on to 240 volts. To tell you the honest truth, I really don't like stick welding. I learned on it years and years ago, but it's not a preferred method for me. I usually do MIG welding. I MIG weld a lot of thinner metals and stuff like that. Just find it's more for what I need it for, and tacking stuff together. It just works better for me. But because a lot of people requested this, I've got some welding rod I purchased just recently, and we're going to give it a try. And I'm not definitely the best. It's not my preferred method of welding. Matter of fact, last time I actually did any real welding with this stick welders of any sort, it's like 3 or 4 years ago. I welded a large brush scraper for a bulldozer together, and that was the last real job I've done, so I'm kind of rusty and out of practice, but I'll give it my best shot. Alright, stick around, check out the video. So what we're going to do is we got the titanium set for about 55 amps, and I got some 1/8 inch tubing here. We're just going to weld it together. This seems like something if you're salvaging metal, working on something, you would have to do. This is how little I stick weld, guys. I don't even have a chipping hammer. I just had to grab it and use the claw of this thing. I did, however, buy one of these specifically for this video for you guys. They're loud as hell. Anyways, we're going to be putting this together with some 3/32 7018 welding rod, so let's get started. Alright, we'll chip the slag off and see how that does. So here's that piece of tubing I just welded. Like I said, I don't really weld much with stick. It's not really my thing, so I'm sure if I practice a bit it could be better, but that welder works pretty good. I'm happy with it. Works a hell of a lot better than this old BuzzBox Lincoln I had. It's an AC welder. Alright, got the titanium maxed out on 70 amps, and keep in mind that's on 120 volts. And we got some 3/16. That's about 4.7 millimeter steel plate here. We're just going to weld a seam down the center of it. So we'll get started here. Got a little bit of a 60-13 rod. I find it tack welds really nice, but it kind of, I know it burns fine on here, but it's a little weirder to weld with for long beads. So at least I found that to be my experience. Like I said, I'm not a stick welder though. All right, here we go. So here's the titanium weld with the 60-13. The very beginning it cut out twice. I let the arc get too long, so I had to kind of bring it in a little tighter. And it welded pretty well here. Got the Vulcan set up on 120 volts, and we're welding with 70-18 rod. And we're welding at, I dialed it back to 55 amps. That's what we welded with the titanium. Probably a little cold for 1/8 inch, but that's what welded pretty well in titanium, so we're going to give it a try on this one and see how it does. Hey guys, up in the top of the screen I'm going to put a link to another YouTube video I made. It's a real world duty cycle test doing some MIG welding on a glue press project. So if you guys are interested, click on that link and check out that video as well. Alright, so here's the Vulcan here, and numbers are numbers. All welders weld slightly different, even if they say they are on a set amps, it can vary a little bit. Titanium over here welded really good at 55 amps, and I think that the Omnipro over here probably could have been turned up to maybe 60 or 65 to do the same thing. Like I said, it's just a reference point. All welders weld slightly different, but I had it stick a little bit more in the very startups too, and I think that was probably because I probably need to turn the amps up a little bit. But all in all, I'm pretty happy with the way it turned out. So that's the Vulcan, and here's the titanium. 3/16 plate test, 70-18 rod, And the Vulcan claims it goes up to 80 amps on 110 volts or 120 volts. So I'm running at 80. I run the Titanium max out 70. .6013 rod, 70 amps, so we're going to weld at that. And we're just going to weld a bead on here, see how it does. A few little BBs along the side. I think we had that with the Titanium as well with that rod. I got a little sketchy there. That was my technique. I'm not so good. Well, there you go. Alright, now for 240 volts. This is 3/8 plate again that we're going to be welding on. Just like with the 120 volt test. Now it was probably a little on the cool side. We had smaller welding rod there, but the machine maxed out at about 80 amps. And we're going to be welding this, I think, at 125 amps with 1/8 inch 7018 rod. And I would just definitely recommend, if you have 240 volts in your shop, just plug into that, because you might as well have the full range of amperage if you want. But like I said, the first part of that video, I did it because there might be some guys that only have 120 volts in their shop and they want to see what these machines can do. But you're going to max out just a little over 1/8 inch pretty much for the material. You can kind of cheat it a little bit by cutting in a V notch on your stuff and kind of filling and kind of manipulating the electrode a little bit in there. But you know, like I said, this is probably maximum you want to weld on 120 volts. Got the Titanium set up for 125 amps. We're going to be welding the same plate, 3/16, and we're going to be using the 7018 1/8 inch welding rod, and we're going to run a strip down here and see how it does. I'm pretty sure it's going to weld about the same as the Titanium. They're both pretty decent little machines. I think they both weld very similar, so we'll get welding. We got some 3/8 inch plate. It's kind of cut at a V. I should probably actually grind that out to be a wider V, but I don't feel like it's cold in my shop and I'm feeling a little lazy tonight. Anyways, we got 1/8 inch 7018. It'd probably be better to be using 5/32 rod, but I don't have any. I haven't really ever welded anything like this, so we'll give it a try. I haven't had any. I don't have enough of this stuff to do any practice, so you guys are gonna see the practice and the finished product here. So we got the Vulcan. It said I think we got it maxed out at about 175 amps. So we're gonna run this and see how it goes. So as you guys can see, I was noticing it just seemed like it was getting way too hot, so I just stopped about 1.5 inches into it, starting to really dip in, and I backed the welder back to about 160 amps, so we're going to give it a try again and see how it welds. A nice little feature about both these welders is if you're actually trying to start an arc and it sticks to the plate you're welding, it actually shuts off power until you unstick the rod, unlike old welders where it just starts glowing the welding rod bright red until you unstick it. That's a nice little feature. Alright, there you guys go. So this beginning part was starting to gouge in. I kind of rolled back once I started arcing back over it to fill it in, but yeah, 175 seemed too hot here. It's just starting to kind of gouge, and this is 160 amps. Got a few BBs laying around the side here, but I think it's welding pretty good. I mean, like I said, I don't really weld this kind of stuff ever, so I don't know. I'm sure if I welded it more I'd get better at it. I think it's alright. I think it would stick together if I needed it to. Again, we got 3/8 steel down here, kind of V'd, probably not V'd wide enough. If I was really doing this for something I really want to hold together, I'd probably cut a more shallow V rather than steeper. And we got this thing set up to 160 amps like we did on the Vulcan. And I'm just going to start welding down it with that 7018 1/8 inch rod and see what we get. Alright, here's what we got. I probably should have traveled a little slower, and because it's just a little stepped in and I didn't fill the V quite all the way, I should have probably just traveled a little slower. Live and learn. But yeah, there's just a little bit of a notch there, probably like a 30 seconds of an inch, a little lip on the edge right down in here. But you know what? I'm sure it's not going to fall apart. Alright you guys, so here's the finished products. This is all titanium side, this is all Vulcan side over here. So we'll start off with this 1/8 inch tubing. This is all pretty low amperage. I think we were running, I don't know, 55, 60 amps with some 30 seconds rod, and it laid on there just fine. Same rod. This is 3/16 plate. I think at 70 was what the titanium maxed out at on 120 volts, and it was just a little on the cold side to trying to get it to stay, you know, get it nice and hot and everything. It was a little more lumpy and turned out okay. This was 1/8 inch rod, 7018 at 125 amps, flowed right in there super smooth on the same thickness of plate. And this is 3/8, and I think we did it at 160 amps, and I should have really just taken my time and flowed in a little bit more metal and built it up, but I never weld this kind of stuff, so we'll just kind of live and learn. Over here we got the Vulcan running at 80 amps. It claims it puts out on 120 volts, and you know, laid in there okay. Probably still needed a little more amperage for that. And this is with 1/8 inch 7018 at 125 amps, laid in just simply smooth. And here's the Vulcan at 160, and I took my time a little more in filling it in, and I think it did pretty good. All in all, both welders weld better than I can at stick, but you know, I don't do it that often though. So we're gonna wrap up this video soon. I want to talk about a few more features on the Vulcan and on the titanium, and a few things I like and dislike, and we'll finish it up here. Alright, I want to go over a few other features. This feature, the Vulcan and the titanium both have, it's hot start. It kind of increases the amps when you first start an arc, and then once you start welding it, backs it down to your regular set amperage. They're both adjustable from 0 to 10. The manuals don't really say much more than that. That's what the feature is. They don't really tell you what 10 is or how long the duration is or the step of amps. It's probably just trial and error. I had both these welders set to 5 each for all fairness. And here's another option that the Vulcan has, the titanium doesn't have, and let me see, what is it called? Arc Force, I believe. And that's from 0 to 10. They don't really say anything about other than it has it. And what I looked up and read about it is, it seems to be when you're welding with your electrode, if you get your electrode really close in your work, it will sense that and increase the current. And then as you back it off, it can maybe back off the current. I think it's kind of like a current stabilizer in a way, as far as I think it. That's what the best way to explain it. I don't stick weld very often, like I've clearly made it in this video. I've mentioned that many times. So I think maybe an experienced stick welder would probably notice some differences on trying out those features and adjusting them. I did notice, however, and I thought it was just like maybe it was me, but over the whole process of making this video, I had more sticking with the electrode on the Vulcan startup than with the titanium. So I don't know, I thought that was me at first, and maybe I wasn't, you know, I'm not totally rusty and out of practice, but I did notice overall I would get the electrode to stick a few more times with the Vulcan than the titanium. Who knows? One other thing I want to mention is the clamp. It's okay, you know, it's held up for 1.5 years. It's a little bent up, but it's been fine. And I did notice, and I mentioned this in the beginning of some of my other videos, the MIG videos, is the titanium clamp is kind of on the cheesy side. It's just been really light duty, and all the electrodes up here have kind of burned out. They're really thin, and I'm going to replace it. I think you can get these at Harbor Freight for $6. I'm sure they're not the nicest clamps in the world, but they're a hell of a lot better than this one. So $6 isn't that bad, but I'm going to replace that. And one other thing, I know this is a MIG welding video, but I've noticed that the line on the MIG seems like you're going to get a hole in it later, sooner or later. It's just really thin for the regulator line, but that's probably like an $8 or $10 thing on Amazon, so it's not make or break that machine. Alright, enough talking about MIG. This is a stick welding video. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, hit like and subscribe. I hope the trolls don't bitch about it too much. Like I said, I don't really stick weld very often, but I want to put something out there so you guys can see these machines. Sorry I wasn't actually building something cool, just welding some coupons together. And I got to plug one of my other videos that never gets watched. I'll put a little video right over here on the side of I cut all these coupons out with my plasma track torch, so I'll put a little video right here, and there's going to be a link up above if you guys want to see that. And yeah, maybe next time we'll get something going and I'll stick weld like a project for the tractor or something in the future. But yeah, I don't like doing these coupon style videos just because it's kind of, I don't know, for me it's a little boring to make, and it's probably for you guys. I'm glad if you, whoever's lasted this long to watch it, but I really like when I'm building something, like something cool, we have an end result, something we can use, and you guys can check out that. So hopefully next time I do a stick welding video, we'll be making something actually cool for the tractor, like attachment. Alright, until next time, you guys, take care. Bye.